let me encourage you. You can make a difference. You can fulfill your calling. With a little bit of help and a little bit of encouragement, you can make it. You can become the person God has called you to be, and you can make a significant impact on others in your world. You can do that by engaging with me on my online training platform. Over the years, I've developed a framework, a model of empowering for myself and others. And for the very first time, I'm making it available to you. This is what I call my Serve and Equip Expanding Influence model. So, let's take a look at it. You remember, my purpose is to equip you, to equip others to go and do the same. It's to train and release you through my Serve and Equip Expanding Influence model, a way of empowering yourself and others. So this is what it looks like. When you look at it, you see that this framework resembles a deep crust pizza. Don't you just love the way that melted cheese oozes out of the crust? Now, I've prepared 5 slices for you today, but don't worry, they're calorie-free. My goal is to expand your influence, not your waistline. Now, these 5 slices touch on 5 significant things. First of all, the key word is determine. Determine your direction. Secondly, the key word is develop. Develop your attitude, your knowledge, and your skills. The third key word is disciple. That's a verb. You disciple others by mentoring them and training them. Then the fourth slice is define, where you define your vision and values. And finally, deploy, by using the Timothy principle. Let's spend a moment on each. Your direction. You may recall from the story that something happened in my family that completely threw me off track, and I had to reset my direction. Maybe today you need to reset your direction, determine it, or perhaps re-establish it in your life. Now, in order to do this, there are 4 questions you need to address. Very simple questions. Number 1, where are you now? What's your current location, your current situation in life? Number 2, where do you want to be? In other words, what is your desired goal? Number 3, how do you get there? What's the strategic plan that will get you there? And finally, who is going to accompany you on the journey? Who's going to help you and facilitate you on this journey? Well, that very simply is what you have to determine, your direction. The second slice is developing. You need to develop 3 things in particular: your attitude, your knowledge, and your skills. I start with attitude because that answers your why, your motivation. Why are you doing it? I'm following Simon Sinek's advice. He wrote a book, Start with Why. And as you start with why, you discover your motivation, and it influences everything else you do. And by the way, Simon Sinek says in his book, people do not buy what you do, but they buy why you do it. People will buy into your vision, not just your product, but your vision. What are you seeking to do? And that is why you need to begin with why. Why are you doing what you do? Now, when you begin to build your why, you can think about all the kind of things that you want to include in it. And sometimes that's a very long list. I want to make a relational impact on those around me. I want to equip them to be great disciples and ministers of Christ. I want to train them and equip them so that my circle of influence expands and relational Christianity grows and Christ is glorified. Now, all those are important elements, but when you are determining your why, you need to bring it right down to something that is really crisp and brief and is compelling. So we could put all of that into this statement. Your why could be, I have a vision of the future where every Christian is trained and released to train and release others. Now, knowledge. Of course, there's certain stuff you've got to know. In any discipline, you've got to build your knowledge. It's good to start where you are, looking at what you already know, and then maybe refresh yourself in some of this knowledge. You'll find that many of my online courses are good refresher courses. Pastors and leaders study this material on maybe some apparently simple topics like salvation or the church, and they begin to do it as a refresher course, but also they build on their knowledge, because these training manuals contain a lot of information. And so as you refresh your knowledge, you continue to add to your knowledge, and so eventually you have a whole range of different understandings and so much knowledge that you're ready to move on. And the next thing you have to think about is skills. So it's attitude, knowledge, and skills. Attitude answers the question why, knowledge answers the question what, but skills answers the question how. How do I do it? So all your knowledge has to be applied to your own life, so it becomes practical skill, and you learn to build your skills over time. I've jotted down a list of some of the skills you might need. So people skills, emotional intelligence skills, communication skills, teaching and training skills, presentation skills, project management skills, team building skills, and I get the picture, I get the message. I'm piling up so much here. But the good thing about skill development is that you can learn your skills as you do it, and you improve your skills, develop your skills over time. But you need to make a list of the skills that you will need. Now we come to the third slice of pizza: disciple. So we have determine your direction, we have develop your attitude, knowledge, and skills. Now we have disciple. That is where you mentor and train others. It's all about discipleship. Our work as believers is about discipleship. Jesus says in Matthew's Gospel, chapter 28, go and make disciples of all nations. And so discipleship's at the heart of it. But where do you begin? You begin with relationship. You cannot have relational impact without relational connection. Dr. Larry Crabb, in his book, Connecting, underlines the importance of relational Christianity. Listen to what he says. Connecting begins when we enter the battle for someone's soul. It continues as we prayerfully envision what Christ would look like in the other person's life. It climaxes when the life of Christ within us is released, when something wonderful and alive and good pours out of us to touch the heart of another. Never underestimate the importance of connection. But in order to connect in that way, your life has to be so rooted in Jesus, in his grace and his love, that you can build relational connections for his glory. So of course you need to begin with connection, relational connection. Then you go on to develop and maintain the discipleship, mentoring relationship, especially as you serve and encourage others, help them overcome their difficulties, help them realize their potential. And my train and equip, expanding influence model is a framework of empowering yourself and others to be equippers of others. This whole process, of course, you are gathering resources, you using my online training platform to add resources to your own life, and in other sources as well. You find many, many resources. And when you are looking at what I have to offer, pay special attention to those elements of my courses when I am teaching you not just to learn, but teaching you to teach others who will also go and do the same. And all of this takes place, of course, in relationship with your mentor and in accountability with your local church or any of the other accountability structures that you have, maintaining a very close relationship where you yourself can be helped and encouraged and supported. And when you begin perhaps teaching some short courses, one-to-one or in small groups, and then gradually you begin to expand your influence. Fourth slice, define. Define your vision and values. Many people would think that this ought to come first, because if you haven't defined your vision and values, how can you build correctly without this kind of foundation? Now that's true, and you do begin by defining your vision and values, but I have found that my vision and my values have been sharpened and developed and deepened as I go on in ministry. So at this stage, check out your vision and values, see if they're adequate. What is your conviction-based lifetime vision? And is that in line with your vision and values? What is your lifetime mission? What do you want to have accomplished by the end of your life? What's your medium-term vision? What do you want to accomplish over the next 3 to 5 years or 7 to 10 years? And also the shorter-term goals. What do you want to achieve over the next 1 to 2 years? And as you allow the Holy Spirit to shape your convictions, you will find that God's love will be compelling you, not just to respond to Him in an ever-deepening relationship with God, but also strengthening your relationships with others. And everything that you do flows out of God's love and God's grace in your life. So now we come to the final slice. Deploy. That's the Timothy principle. It's based on 2 Timothy chapter 2, verse 2, which says, "And what you've heard from me in the presence of many witnesses, entrust to faithful men who will be able to teach others also." Well, a proper translation would be faithful people, both men and women, who are able to teach others also. So this Timothy principle means you focus on equipping others who you know have the capacity and the potential to go on teaching and equipping others and bringing them into this ever-widening circle of influence. And in this way, you truly begin to expand your influence, not just by what you are doing, but what your disciples are doing, the people that you have trained and released, and especially as they go out to train and release others. In that way, we can all make a significant impact on the world.